Welcome to Wealthy Lead. All right, today we're tackling something really fascinating, a question that pops up right at this incredible intersection of our most cutting edge technology and, well, our most ancient wisdom. And look, it sounds like a riddle from some ancient scroll, but it's a very modern one. The question is this: can a machine, something built entirely on pure logic and data, ever truly get a philosophy like Daoism, which is all about transcending logic, all about paradox and intuition? So let's break this down. On one hand, you've got AI, right? These large language models that can literally read everything humanity has ever written in, like, an afternoon. It's insane. And on the other hand, you have Daoist wisdom, which is constantly pointing to truths that are, well, beyond words, beyond logic, beyond the very stuff that AI is made of. It really is the ultimate showdown, the carved block versus the uncarved block. Okay, so to really get into this, we first need to wrap our heads around the key ideas we're playing with here. Taoism, it's not some step-by-step instruction manual. It's this beautiful collection of poetry and stories that have had people scratching their heads and nodding in deep thought for centuries. And what's so wild is how these concepts seem to, slip right through your fingers when you try to define them. You have the Tao, the way of the universe, but the text literally tells you, hey, the second you can name it, that's not it anymore. Then there's Wu Wei, or effortless action. I mean, how's that for a paradox? And Pu, the uncarved block, which basically says that true wisdom isn't about piling on more knowledge, but about getting back to this state of pure, simple potential. All right, so what happens when you take these beautiful, slippery texts and just feed them to an AI? Well, first things first, you have to give the machine its credit. Its power to analyze stuff is, and I'm not exaggerating, absolutely revolutionary. Think about it like this. For centuries, a scholar would have to spend their entire life learning ancient Chinese, hunting down different versions of texts, reading every commentary out there. In AI, it does all of that in the time it takes you to blink. It can track how one single character has changed over time, map out language patterns, and spot connections that a human might completely miss. It's just an incredible data crunching machine. And this is where you really start to see the difference. A person reads this and feels it, right? You get this sense of the poetry, the power of that emptiness. The AI, though, it's processing it on a totally different level, a structural level. And honestly, that's where its own unique power comes from. So the AI would look at that verse and bam, instantly see that three-part pattern. Then, in a flash, it would scan its entire database, connecting every single mention of emptiness with usefulness. It could spit out a whole report on how being and non-being are talked about in all of Chinese philosophy. That's its superpower, just total complete information synthesis. And what do you get at the end? You get a summary like this. And let's be honest, it's perfect. It's clean, it's accurate, it's flawless. You'd get an A+ on your philosophy paper for this. It's the perfect explanation. But, and this is a huge but, this is where we hit a wall. Because the AI's greatest strength, the fact that it sees the text as just one massive pile of data, is also its biggest weakness. The whole analysis is, well, it's completely detached from any real experience. I mean, it's never felt the quiet peace of an empty room, right? It's never had its hands on clay, shaping a bowl. It's never felt that simple joy of movement that a wheel gives you. See, the verse isn't just a piece of information. It's trying to get you to change how you see things. And that jump, from just knowing something in your head to actually understanding it in your gut, that's a leap the AI just can't make. It's got the perfect map, for sure, but it can't actually take the journey. In this little gap we're talking about, it turns into a massive chasm when the AI comes up against the real core ideas of Daoism, the very concepts that are designed to point to something beyond what words can even describe. I mean, the Tao Te Ching tells you this in the very first line. It's basically saying, look, language is a box, and the truth we're after is always going to be bigger than the box. So an AI, which is literally made of language, is starting out with a pretty big handicap. Okay, let's use Wu Wei as the perfect example. An AI looks at the characters. Wu means not or without. Wei means action. So, logically, it concludes it means non-action. Do nothing, just be passive. It's a perfectly logical, perfectly literal translation. But anyone who spent 5 minutes with Daoism knows that's completely wrong. Wu Wei is that feeling of being in the zone, like a great athlete. It's like a kayaker flowing with the river's current instead of fighting against it. It's a feeling, an embodied state that you understand with your body, not just your brain. For an AI whose whole world is about deliberate, calculated action, Wu Wei just looks like a bug in the system, a logical contradiction. It just can't feel it. And that brings us to Pooh, the uncarved block. And here, the clash is even bigger. An AI is the ultimate carved block. Think about it. Its entire purpose, its value, comes from being shaped and defined and sculpted by massive amounts of data. The whole Daoist idea of becoming less defined, of returning to a state of simple raw potential, that's the exact opposite of what an AI is. So, if the machine is stuck inside its box of logic, where does real understanding come from? Well, it comes from the one place the AI can never go: our messy, complicated, and yeah, beautiful human lives. Our journey with these texts is just different. We feel the poetry. We spend late nights wrestling with the paradoxes. We might even do things like meditation or Tai Chi, where you learn what flow actually feels like in your body, not just as a word on a page. This kind of understanding grows out of living life, and that's something an AI just can't copy. Let's take that amazing story from Zhuangzi. You know the one, where he dreams he's a butterfly, fluttering around, and then he wakes up and has no idea if he's Zhuangzi who just dreamed he was a butterfly, or a butterfly who's now dreaming he's Zhuangzi. An AI would look at that and give you this, a super dry, academic breakdown of epistemology. And, technically, it's not wrong. But does it get the poetry? Does it get the playfulness, the sense of wonder, that feeling of having the rug pulled out from under your reality? No, it misses the joke, it misses the art. The AI is brilliant at processing the what, the raw data of the story, but it takes a human to grasp the so what, the feeling, the meaning, the whole point. So this brings us to the future, right? And I think the real question isn't, can AI beat us at understanding wisdom? That's the wrong way to look at it. The better question is, how can we use this amazing tool to help us on our own journey? We really need to be clear about the difference between these things. Information is just the raw data, and AI is a master of that. Knowledge is when you take that data and see the patterns. AI is great at that too. But wisdom? Wisdom is different. That's about taking that knowledge and applying it in the real world with context, with feeling. And that, at least for now, is all us. And this is where it gets really exciting. I mean, imagine having a personal guide that, when you're feeling totally overwhelmed, could instantly pull up every verse about letting go. Or a creative partner that could help you brainstorm new ways to think about these old ideas. The AI could be like our own personal, infinitely patient librarian, just constantly pointing us toward new doors to open. But, and this is a really important warning, there's a danger here. The danger is that we start to mistake the AI's perfect, articulate summary for wisdom. That we get lazy and stop doing the hard, messy, rewarding work of wrestling with these ideas ourselves. Because the point of all this was never to get a tidy little answer. It was to get comfortable living inside the big questions. So in the end, it really is a partnership. They complement each other. The AI gives us the what, all the data, all the patterns, that perfect map. But we, the humans, we provide the so what, the meaning, the reflection, and, the guts to actually go on the journey. So where does this all leave us? Well, the AI's ability to analyze is just mind-blowing, but it's completely disconnected from real life. To really understand these ideas, you have to have lived a little, something a machine can't do. It all boils down to a pretty simple truth, really. You can't download wisdom. You have to live it. And you know what? Maybe that's the most comforting thought of all. These ancient writings were never puzzles to be solved. They were doorways to walk through. An AI can build you a perfect 3D model of that door, tell you what it's made of, its exact dimensions, but it still takes a human being to find the courage to turn the knob and walk through to the other side. Thanks for digging into this with us. Make sure you subscribe to Wealthy Leads so you don't miss our next deep dive. We'll see you then.